Ever feel like you're at the mercy of your emotions, constantly reacting to what's happening around you? What if I told you the secret to true power lies not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself? Welcome to today's video, where we'll dive into the age-old wisdom of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca didn't just teach us how to handle life's challenges, they showed us how to master ourselves. Because when you can control your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you don't just survive, you thrive. Stick with me for the next few minutes, and I'll show you how this ancient philosophy can help you build a life of calm, clarity, and control, no matter what comes your way. Let's get into it. Number 1. The power of self-control. Power comes from being able to control yourself. You don't have to fight every urge. You just have to know when to act and when to hold back. Marcus Aurelius, who was emperor of Rome and a Stoic philosopher, often thought about how important it was to control oneself. As stated in his meditations, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Having self-control means taking charge of our thoughts. You can control what you do when you can control your mind, and you make your own fate when you decide what to do. Imagine a world where you don't have to follow your emotions and every choice you make is clear and has a purpose. This is the power to keep yourself in check. You are free from outside situations when you choose how to deal with life's problems. The Stoics thought that we can always choose how to respond, even if we can't change what happens to us. We can stay calm and collected, no matter how crazy things are around us, because we have control over ourselves. You can draw on a greater source of strength when you learn to control yourself. You stop being tossed around by feelings, worry, or pressures from the outside world. You instead become the calm center, unmoved by the chaos around you. Imagine a ship in a storm. The waves might be rough, but the ship will stay on track if the captain stays calm. Self-control gives you that calm. It's a quiet but strong force that helps you make choices. Self-control isn't just being able to handle problems or say no to temptations. It's also being able to choose what to do. It's the difference between acting without thinking about it and acting after giving it some thought. When you let your feelings run your life, you make choices based on short-lived emotions. You make decisions based on your deepest ideals and long-term goals when you are in charge of yourself. The Stoics worked on this skill every day, and in fact, Epictetus taught in his discourses that what bothers us is not what is happening around us, but how we think about it. He thought that real power comes from being able to change how we see things and how we respond to them. We can change the way our lives go if we learn to control our responses. To put it another way, self-control lets you change your story, to choose how your life unfolds instead of letting events decide for you. Marcus Aurelius said, "What stops people from acting moves them to act. What gets in the way turns into the way." When you have self-control, problems don't seem like problems anymore. They seem like chances to grow. You can use every task as a chance to get stronger and improve your ability to keep your cool under pressure. This power is also yours to use. From their point of view, the Stoics thought that everyone could control themselves, no matter what their situation was. The important thing is to always choose to be disciplined, patient, and keep things in perspective. If you do this, you'll find out how to not only survive in the world, but really rule it. Number 2, mastering your emotions. Each and every person has inner battles. The urges and emotions we have are all part of our inner struggles. You are defined by how you handle those emotions, though. Seneca, another famous Stoic thinker, saw this conflict and said, "We suffer more in our minds than in real life." Stress, anxiety, or hasty choices are frequently the result of letting negative emotions control our actions. You can control your emotions if you know that you are not them. You are the one watching. Mindfulness and taking a step back before you respond can help you make choices instead of letting anger, fear, or frustration run your life. You get back your power when you learn to stop, think, and choose what to say next. Remember that what hurts you is not the emotion itself, but how you let it change what you do. People have emotions all the time, but they don't have to sway our decisions. Imagine that you are in a heated fight and that your anger is about to boil over. The urge is to yell back, to use fire to fight fire. But at that time, self-control shows a different way. You don't act on instinct. Instead, you stop. You take deep breaths. Your emotions are strong, but you know they will only last for a short time. You don't have to do anything right away. The powerful part of this pause is when you choose what kind of person you want to be in that present moment. He wrote about this idea of controlling our emotions in Letters from a Stoic. It is not that we have little time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. He wrote, "A lot of the time we waste is when we act without thinking, letting our anger, impatience, or desire carry us away. But when we learn to control our emotions, we see that even though they are strong, they don't last forever. And that's where we can make smarter choices." Realizing that you can control your emotions does not mean that you have to hide them. When you suppress something, it builds up and eventually erupts. Instead, it's about being aware of your emotions without letting them take over. The Stoics called this state apatheia, which means being free from the bad effects of emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding them. To control your emotions, you must first be aware of them. It's important to pay attention when an emotion like anger, anxiety, or excitement starts to rise. You can take a step back and question the urge once you're aware of it. Does this emotion help you? Is it based on facts, or is it just a short-term response to something? You get back control of how you react by asking these questions. As Marcus Aurelius says in his Meditations, you have power over your mind, not over outside events. Know this, and you will be strong. You can control your emotions once you realize this. You can be truly emotionally free when you realize that your feelings do not control you. Over time, learning self-control gives you the emotional strength to deal with life's problems with poise and intelligence. You stop being a puppet for your emotions and take charge of your own emotional world. It gives you more power to choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and reason over response the more you do it. There is a chance to improve your self-control every time your emotions are rough. You get stronger emotionally the more you think about your responses instead of acting on impulse. As you do this, you realize how important it is to control your emotions, not only for your own health, but also for how you interact with others. Number 3, conquering the mind. It was known to the Stoics that all fights start in the mind. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, said Epictetus, a slave who became a philosopher. This idea is at the heart of Stoic thought. We can't change the things that happen around us, but we can change the way we think and act. A strong technique that the Stoics used was cognitive reframing, which meant that they would question and change the way they thought about tough situations. When bad things happened, they didn't dwell on them. Instead, they reframed the event in a way that made them feel stronger. For instance, if they lost something important, they would tell themselves that it wasn't their fault and that they could still be at peace by accepting what had happened. Being self-aware and disciplining our minds in this way helps us become stronger and more in control of ourselves. When you learn to handle your feelings, you stop being a victim of them. You rise above them instead, taking charge of your responses and making your own peace. True freedom is in the mind. Everything that gets in the way of living starts in the mind. Like Epictetus, the Stoics knew that the only thing we can really change is how we see and respond to the world around us. Since they knew that our thoughts create our world, they worked on building an unbreakable inner wall, a mind that would stay calm, collected, and clear no matter what was going on around them. "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it," said Epictetus. This saying sums up the main idea of Stoic philosophy. We decide how happy or peaceful we are not by the things that happen in our lives, but by how we think about those things. For instance, if you lose your job, you can't change the fact that it happened, but you can change how you feel about it. Choose whether to see it as a failure or as a chance to grow, to rethink your goals and find a new way to reach them. This change in how you see things is the key to taking over your thoughts. Cognitive reworking is one of the most important things to do in Stoicism. This is the skill of altering how you see something so that it can't hurt you anymore. Let's say you have a tough problem to solve at work. You might think, "This is too hard, I'll never succeed." But you could also think, "This is a chance to learn, grow, and show how resilient I am." You can change how that task affects you by changing your point of view. This turns the challenge from a threat into a stepping stone. Seneca, who was also a Stoic philosopher, said that it was important to get your mind ready for the problems that life will inevitably bring. "No man is free who is not master of himself," he wrote in letters to Lucilius. We need to learn how to control our thoughts before we can be truly free. This isn't about hiding our emotions or acting like life's problems don't affect us. It's about realizing that we can change how we react to what happens. And when we do, we get our freedom and power back. The Stoics also did negative vision, which meant picturing the worst-case scenarios to get their minds ready for bad things to happen. The point of this practice wasn't to focus on bad things, but to understand that hard times are going to happen and that we have the power to get through them. By practicing in their minds for possible failures, they made their mental toughness stronger, which helped them deal with problems calmly. The mind can easily get cluttered in a world full of outside stresses and distractions. Mental discipline, on the other hand, can help you see things clearly and find peace. You are no longer a slave to your fears, worries, or urges when you are in charge of your ideas. You rise above them instead. You can handle the problems in life with more focus and wisdom if you master your mind. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his book Meditations, "Know this, and you will be strong." The real power is not being able to change what happens to you, but being able to change how you think about it. Being able to stay calm, centered, and collected in any scenario is possible once you master your mind. By practicing this mental practice, you can stop relying on what other people say or do. You take charge of your thoughts, and once you do that, you can start to change your world. Thoughts. The Stoics knew that controlling the mind was the first step to controlling the world, since the mind is how we see everything. When you improve that lens, you can see things more clearly, choose better, and live your life with more meaning. Number 4, the discipline of consistency. When you are consistent, your self-control really shines. Never just pick the right thing to do for one time. You have to do it every day. Socratic thinker Epictetus said, First, tell yourself what you should be, and then do what you have to do. Self-control takes work every day, and you have to be consistent to do it. Imagine working out just once a month to build muscle. It doesn't matter how hard you work out that one time, you won't see effects. On the other hand, when you keep at it every day, you start to see real progress. Self-control is the same way. Making rules for yourself and following them, even when you don't want to, is what it's all about. The key is to be consistent, whether it's sticking to your goals, getting up early, or ignoring distractions. Remember that small things you do every day add up over time. A single drop of water doesn't make an ocean, but making the same choices over time can help you build a strong and focused life. Piece by piece, day by day, you can master yourself. You might think that one big act of discipline is all it takes to change your life. But the truth is that it's the little things you do over and over again that make the changes last. First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epictetus writes in his Enchiridion, "This means that the things you do every day should match your idea of who you want to become. It's not enough to just want to do something. Your actions must always be in line with your intentions." Take some time to think about the habits that make up your life. Repeating something over and over again makes it a habit. This is true for both putting things off and getting up early. It takes more than one deed to make a habit last. You have to make choices every day, even when no one is looking or when it's not convenient, if you really want to master yourself. The Stoics had a deep understanding of this. They knew that being consistent wasn't about wanting to be, but about being committed to a concept. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The thing that stops you from acting facilitates action. What gets in the way turns into the way." This comes from the Stoic idea that problems shouldn't be seen as things that get in the way of our work, but as chances to get better at what we're doing. A task doesn't mean we failed. It means we can get better at sticking with things even when they get hard. Every failure is a chance to show that you are consistent, which is what you need to grow. The Stoic way of self-discipline works so well because it encourages people to see problems as part of the journey. Self-control isn't about working hard for a while and then taking it easy. It's about making your life so that everything you do shows how much you want to grow. In the middle of a job, resisting the urge to check your phone is a choice that counts. So does sticking to a workout plan or keeping promises to yourself and others. When you do these little things over and over again, they build your character. Today you should make the right choice, and tomorrow you should do it again. These choices add up to something bigger over time. People start to see you as someone they can trust and who keeps their word. It's not the big times of self-control that make you who you are. It's the small things you do every day that make up your life. The Stoics believed that every moment is a chance to show how disciplined you are. The real test of self-control is your ability to keep going day after day. This includes staying true to your values when everyone else tries to lead you astray, and showing up even when you're not feeling like it. By making stability a habit, you start to gain control over not only your life, but also yourself. You have the power to make changes that last when you promise to be steady in your efforts. Being disciplined every day is what it's all about. Not being perfect or making big steps forward all of a sudden. You start to change your life in ways you never thought possible as you work at it every day. Number 5, overcoming temptations and distractions. In a world full of non-stop distractions like social media, entertainment, and the need for instant gratification, being able to say no to temptation is a strong sign of self-control. Being self-controlled doesn't mean you have to give up all the things you enjoy. Instead, it means putting your long-term goals ahead of your short-term wants. Marcus Aurelius said it well: "The thing that stops you from acting moves you toward action. What gets in the way turns into the way." To fight off temptations and distractions, you need a clear goal and sense of purpose. Take charge of your attention if you want to do big things. Every minute you spend on something else takes time away from your main goal. Take charge of your attention and get rid of the things that don't matter. You'll be amazed at how much more you can get done. There are lots of things around us that can distract us, like notifications all the time, scrolling endlessly, and the allure of quick gratification. We often tell ourselves that these things will only take a moment, which makes it easy to get caught up in them. But those little things add up quickly, taking up our time and energy and stopping us from doing what really counts. In today's world, having self-control doesn't mean turning down all pleasures. Instead, it means figuring out which ones help you reach your long-term goals and which ones get in the way. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius says, "The thing that stops action moves action forward. What gets in the way turns into the way." This wise saying tells us that every temptation or distraction can be a problem or a chance to grow. You are on the path to self-mastery every time you fight the urge to mindlessly scroll through social media or give in to a short-lived pleasure. You have decided to spend that time and energy on something that helps you reach your true purpose. It takes more than grit to stay focused when you're surrounded by distractions. When you know what you want to achieve, it's easier to ignore the things that might get in the way. Imagine trying to steer a ship toward a faraway land. The ship will drift randomly if the captain isn't focused on the goal. Every wind will push the ship in different directions. They can get through the storm and stay on track, though, if the captain keeps an eye on the sea. In the same way, it's easier to say no to things that try to take your attention away from your goals when you keep them in mind. The Stoics knew this very well. Seneca says, "We suffer more often in our minds than in reality," in Letters from a Stoic. A lot of the things that tempt and distract us are based on made-up fears or needs, like the need to check your phone or the fear of losing out on something. The urges will go away soon, but the bad things that can happen if you give in can last a lot longer. Having self-control helps you become strong enough to resist these short-term urges. When you're tempted, it's not always easy to stay focused, but the benefits are huge. You get better at staying focused on what's important every time you say no to a distraction. That's where the real power lies, training your mind to value long-term happiness over short-term joys. Self-control also means making sure that there aren't too many things that can confuse you in the first place. If you know that checking your phone every 5 minutes will keep you from working, then put it somewhere out of reach while you're doing something. The Stoics say that our surroundings should be set up in a way that supports our values and goals. As Marcus Aurelius himself wrote, "Keeping your surroundings under control is important for keeping your mind at ease." It's not enough to just ignore distractions when they come up. You also need to set up processes that make it easier to be self-controlled. In the end, controlling your attention is the key to avoiding desires and other things that may distract you. When you pay attention to what's important, you can do a lot more than you thought you could. You're one step closer to reaching your full potential every time you avoid being distracted. When you do this, you take charge of your life and guide yourself toward the goals that will make you happy and successful. Number 6. Self-control in relationships. Self-control isn't just important for getting things done, it's also a big part of how we interact with other people. How often have we said something out of anger or rage and later felt bad about it? To keep relationships peaceful and respectful, you need to be able to control how you respond. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations about how important it is to understand how others feel. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, envious, and grumpy. The Stoics said that instead of reacting to these bad actions, people should be patient, kind, and understanding. You build stronger bonds and win respect in relationships when you keep your emotions in check. You also look out for your own peace of mind, which is very important. Remember that you can't change other people, but you can change how you respond to them. One of the best ways to show how strong you are is to be able to control your emotions in relationships. It is all too easy to let our feelings run wild when we are upset. How many times have we yelled at someone when we were mad and then felt bad about it later? We may feel guilty and disconnected as a result of those brief times of emotion overindulgence, which can hurt relationships in the long run. But if we learn to control ourselves, we can handle disagreements with tact and kindness, protecting our relationships and our peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be nosy, ungrateful, cocky, dishonest, jealous, and rude." This idea is related to this one. At first, Marcus's words may sound cynical, but he wasn't trying to stir up anger or hatred. Instead, he was getting ready for the fact that other people often act in ways that test our peace and patience. By realizing this ahead of time, we can avoid being caught off guard by bad behavior, which lets us reply calmly and carefully instead of acting on impulse. When it comes to relationships, having self-control means not getting angry when someone cuts you off in traffic or talks over you. It means being able to pause before speaking so you can think about what you're going to say and how it will affect others. In his letters to Lucilius, Seneca stressed how important it was to understand how other people work. As he put it, you will find no one in a position who will not, at some point or another, make you angry. Realizing that everyone will test your patience at some point helps you become emotionally strong. You don't have to break out or let your anger control how you act. Instead, you can approach these times with understanding and calm. Controlling our responses not only keeps us out of unnecessary fights, but it also helps us build stronger, more important relationships with other people. People respect those who maintain composure under pressure and don't let emotion influence their decision. In relationships, having self-control doesn't mean hiding how you feel or acting like everything is fine when it's not. It means deciding how to talk about your thoughts in a healthy way. People who do this show patience, kindness, and understanding, even if the other person doesn't act the same way. The Stoics also knew how important it was to understand how others feel. People weren't seen as threats to their peace. Instead, they saw them as fellow humans going through their own problems and battles. By seeing that other people are human, we can show kindness even if they don't do what we want them to do. We become better listeners, more understanding partners, and more understanding friends when we learn to control ourselves. Being self-controlled doesn't mean letting other people do whatever they want to you. You should set limits and stand up for yourself when you need to. But how you stand up for yourself does matter. Being cool and collected is always more effective than reacting emotionally and lash out. In this way, self-control in relationships is about channeling your feelings in a way that supports healthy, respectful, and satisfying relationships, rather than suppressing them. When it comes to partnerships, the Stoic view says that you can't change how other people act, but you can change how you react to them. You have power when you are in charge. Being self-controlled helps you build stronger relationships with other people and keeps your own peace of mind. When you show patience, understanding, and sensitivity, you build relationships based on trust and respect, which is a strong base that can withstand any storm. Number 7. The ripple effect of self-mastery. As you gain power over yourself, ripples of change spread outward. Everyone around you is affected by how you act. Staying calm, responding with thought, and showing strength are all things that people notice about you. Self-mastery makes you an example for other people to follow. By staying cool and following the rules, you encourage others to do the same. Leaders are not just people with titles. They also show others how to do things. Your ability to control yourself can motivate other people to take charge of their own lives. So you don't just rule your own world, you also make other people want to rule theirs. Self-mastery has a big effect on the people around you, but it's not always obvious. When you control your feelings, reactions, and impulses, the effects are felt by others in ways you may not even be aware of. By staying calm, facing difficulties with care, and being strong when things go wrong, you set an example that others will see and, over time, try to follow. People can be inspired by your self-control to find their own way to success. People around you, like coworkers, friends, and even strangers, are always watching how you handle the good and bad things that happen in life. By staying strong when things get tough, staying cool when things get crazy, and being patient when things get annoying, you start to show others how to live their lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste time going back and forth on what a good man should be. Be one." This quote sums up what Stoic leadership is all about. Leaders don't just tell people what to do or give them help. They also show others how to do it. The things you do speak louder than the words you use. People look up to people who have self-control because they see that it's not only possible to stay calm in tough situations, but also a way to real power and influence. The way you act, how you treat people, and how disciplined you are will speak for themselves. Not only do leaders say the right things, but they also do the right things. This is true in business, in families, and in neighborhoods. Being a leader doesn't mean controlling other people. It means helping them learn how to control themselves. People will automatically follow your lead if you work on mastering yourself more. You become a ripple in a vast ocean of change in this way, inspiring those around you to take charge of their own thoughts and feelings. People are inspired by your calmness and self-discipline, and you also build a group of people who are ready to master themselves. This starts a strong cycle. When you show self-control, people around you want to follow your lead. You build a culture of self-mastery together that doesn't depend on outside forces or situations, but on each person's own power. This change that affects everyone can change whole places, like workplaces and neighborhoods, making them more respectful, productive, and calm. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "What we do now will never be forgotten." A lasting legacy that ripples outward through time is left by the pattern you set through your actions and your control over yourself. Controlling yourself doesn't just make your own world better. It starts to change and inspire people around you. You make a strong, long-lasting effect that goes beyond your own life when you do that. When you master yourself, you not only take charge of your own life, but you also make good changes in the lives of other people. With self-control, you don't just feel good about yourself, you become an example for others to follow. True power comes from being able to control yourself. You are in charge of your own life when you master yourself. The Stoics were right when they said that the only way to be truly free is to master your inner world. True power comes from being able to control yourself. You are in charge of your own life when you master yourself. The Stoics were right when they said that the only way to be truly free is to master your inner world. You have the ultimate power to change your life if you are able to control your thoughts, emotion, and actions. Start today. Get your mind under control. Get rid of the things that are distracting you and run your own world. If this video moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom and tips on how to master yourself. Enjoy your day and know that real power comes from being able to control yourself.